Okay, I just made contact with the Pollinator, aka Antonovich, and I decided to monetize Anton. And the way I'm going to do it is that I'm going to play his shrink, Dr. Rosenstall, and I'm going to try to understand how he became the Pollinator and why he can't stop. Did he love his mother? I mean, he is completely out of his mind. Uh, you're not supposed to do what he does. You're supposed to find a girl you like and stick with her, okay? And he does, for a few nights. And then he's gone to the next flower. So anyway, hopefully we will have a series which will rival House of Cards, in which Anton discloses, we're going to dig deeper and deeper and deeper into Anton until we find out what's going on here, and this is a historical phenomenon, the Don Juan personality. Yeah, I wrote all these notes about why we have to embrace a policy of eugenics. How desperately we need to do this. And to make my case, I started talking about my last jury trial, which is in 2004. You can download it. It's Campanioni, just the way it sounds, Campanioni versus City of Tampa. Look for the Moore Law, Morlaw, Moore Law. Okay, look for that, because that's the best essay about it. But there's 10. It's all over the net. This is my last verdict. Okay, this is why we need eugenics. Campanioni was, I think he was like 32, and he was a triathlete. He was a Cuban man, a working man. And he was basically, disemboweled by the city of Tampa, disemboweled, lost arm, leg, use of an arm and leg, partially loss of use of the arm and leg, brain damage. So when he found me, let me make it easy for you. I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you this story. Because I was the only attorney in the country that would take his case. Now, remember that. Put that in your, let that imprint in you. I was the only attorney in his case. His case had been sent to storage, and his attorney was trying to persuade him that he had to accept a $100,000 offer from the city. He had been looking for an attorney for years, and nobody would talk to him, because the city truck driver said that he was racing his motorcycle. He ran into the back of their cavalcade of 3 trucks, and he ran into the 3rd truck. And he couldn't remember what happened. He woke up from a coma with Christmas ornaments, I don't know, a couple of months later. If he had not found me, his case would not have gone to trial. He would have ultimately, eventually taken 100 grand. That's the statutory limit. Suing the city of Tampa. When you sue, I'm going to teach you the law. So I'm going to teach you so that you've got the equivalent of a law school education when I get through with you. Knowing the basics, the concepts, knowing about civil law, criminal law, constitutional law. So keep that in mind now. He'd been looking for years for an attorney. Nobody would try his cases. Cases had been filed by the attorney that he represented him to prevent the 4-year statute of limitations from running. It was filed and it was sent by the court to storage. So that stayed the running of the statute of limitations. I tried the case exactly 1 year later. This is what happened. Remember what the city truck driver said? I told you what they said, right? I shut them down. I shut the city of Tampa down. I put on 2 days of testimony and evidence, and the city. I allowed the city's engineer, forensic expert, Dr. Rigsby. He was the most famous, celebrated forensic expert in the state of Florida. He was associated with the University of Florida. He was a reconstruction engineer par excellence. I allowed him to show a movie, a video of there was demonstrative evidence of a motorcycle running into the back of a truck. It was moving. Okay. Now I could have excluded that on the grounds that nobody so testified. See, none of these guys, these truck drivers, 3 trucks, right, testified. So there was no basis for his testimony. I could have excluded, but the city just made a complete jackass of itself with it and testified about something that I had disproved. Right? This was how decisive, how conclusively I had proven my case. On the 5th day of trial, first day jury selection, 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, evidence. On the 5th day of trial, the jury deliberated for an hour and a half. After hearing 3 days of evidence, they deliberated an hour and a half and awarded my client $18 million. Please Google it. I gave you the name, my name. You can confirm these things, right? There's a little description of what happened in the case, right? Why am I telling you this? Because I paid a horrible price for this, and I'm no longer a lawyer, and there are no more Russ Stalls. See, there are no more. I'm the only one. And if you had not found me accidentally, I think God is acting. All these things that are impossible in my life that keep happening. It's like divine intervention. How the hell did he find me? Well, I'll tell you exactly how he found me. A girl that I had an affair with at a strip bar. Sexy Cuban bitch, man, was she something. She lived in this apartment building. She knew me, of course, and she sent me to him. Sent him to me. If he had not found me, uh, he would have had to take $100,000 because he would have not found an attorney who would represent him, who would try the case. All right. So what does this have to do with eugenics? Everything. Okay? What if we had a world where everybody was a Russ Stahl? Okay? What a wonderful world it would be. You could go to any attorney and he would be effective. I wrote a check for an attorney in New York. I never saw the guy again. Okay? Ask everybody you know about his experiences with attorneys. Okay? I have, and it's pretty consistent, you know. Listening to the people I don't want to get into this. All right, so the point is, we need a world full of people who are effective. It's called ineffective assistance of counsel, okay, in criminal law. Well, that's pretty much the rule, not the exception of the rule, but that's pretty much the rule. Ineffective assistance of counsel. This country is not really that different than the old Soviet Union. You're going to find that out in your lifetime. If you don't believe me, you know. But it's really not that different. Criminal justice system is the same as the Soviet Union. You go to an attorney, he tells you what you have to do, what you have to plead to, and he goes to the prosecutor and their buddies, and you plead to that, and otherwise you go to prison. You know, your chances of not going to prison are a good solid 1%. So it's no different than the Soviet Union. This country is so full of shit. That's the most important thing I want you to learn in your college education. Okay? That the country's a fraud. In the United States, I've said this again many times, I'll say it now, for those who've tuned in recently. America is not a nation, it is not a country, it is not a people. America is a cage fight. America is the ultimate expression of the war of every man against every man. Okay? Here's the problem. Here's why you don't understand that. This is the first time in your life to hear this and understand it. Zombification. I haven't talked about that in recent essays. I need to talk about it again. Americans are zombies. I call this a zombie nation. Okay? Americans are programmed not to see what they're looking at. As Gertrude Stein said, most people don't see what they're looking at. That is so true in this country. Example, Bernie Madoff, the SEC. SEC had been advised about him. They knew all about him. Maybe a decade before they shut him down. Well, he shut himself down. He ran out of money. His Ponzi scheme. How did he get away with this? He had the hookup. His son was married to the daughter of a member of the SEC. You know, go online, and this guy went to the SEC, laid it out. There was the 16th floor did not have any traders on it. It had people in it that were sending out bogus statements, telling people how much they had made, you know, in the last quarter. So they wouldn't sell their stock. You know, as long as they kept getting their 10%, they were happy. Of course, the 10% came from new suckers, you know, in Bernie's Ponzi scheme. I mean, look. See, when we see Bernie, the Bernie Madoff phenomenon, and the SEC, we say, oh, the SEC failed. And we've been programmed to think, well, that's just an anomaly. No, it's not an anomaly. It tells you that the SEC is not worth a shit. It's not regulating. It's not doing its job. That's what it tells you. Period. Paragraph. All right. There's a zombie. You can't think that way because that means your whole country is just bullshit, which it is. It is. I mean, look at the execution of Epstein. You know, I mean, that means that we need to remove "In God We Trust" from our currency, okay, as our logo. "In God We Trust," and replace it with "Money talketh and doo-doo walketh." Enron, 2007, Enron collapsed. It was just another variation of the Bernie Madoff pansy scheme. How in the hell can this is the seventh largest company in the country, Enron, right? Number 7. And all it does is steal money from people. That's all it does. There's nothing there but thieves. You know, it was a variation on the Madoff theme. Enron was cooking the books and showing this very profitable stock that people were buying. It was absolutely worthless. That went on for over a decade. Under the eyes, the SEC. Our country is just full of shit. That's all there is to it. It's just hopelessly corrupt. That's the most important thing that you need to learn from my college education. America is a fraud and a lie, right? That's what it is. All right. Why is the American lawyer the lowest form of life on earth? Why? Because it's not their fault. They were born that way. Okay? They were not born rush stalls. They were born shitheads. Okay? They can't do their fucking job. Okay? I mean, I tried, hundreds of cases. And I know, I mean, the typical American lawyer thinks his job is to tell lies. So I would be representing somebody in a case where I had no, the bill pulled legislation. The bill pulled litigation. I talked about my 13 cases I picked up that they would handle. I won all of them. I got exactly what I asked for in every case. Okay? I was suing businessmen for bill pull, the engineer, in my bill pull litigation. I had a number of cases for him. He had been a bag man for Senator Gurney, who was prosecuted for corruption, and Bill Pull, who's gone to his reward. God bless him, sweetheart of a guy. He was a bag man. Okay? He brought the money, the payoffs to Gurney. So nobody would pay him, pay his engineering fees when he was on the front page of the paper as an unindicted co-conspirator in the Gurney case, right? And nobody would have represented him if I had not, if he had not found me. And we won all the cases, as I say. We got exactly what I asked for. All right, but here's why I'm telling you the story. These guys we sued, they would go they didn't hire some trial lawyer, that worked for an insurance company, did nothing, and years of experience as a trial lawyer. They hire some the cheapest lawyer they could get. And these jokers were all the same. They thought their job was to lie about the evidence to the jury. But the problem was that they were up against Rush Stahl. Moi, okay? And I had a photographic memory back then, my 30s and 40s and 50s. And I knew every single word. I could repeat it almost verbatim of every witness by the end of the trial, right? And so, so I would give my closing argument. Now the goofball attorney would give his closing argument, full of lies, saying so and so said such and such. Then in my rebuttal, I would remember word for word what that attorney said about the testimony, and I would remember what the witness said. And when I repeated it verbatim, the jury would say, "Yes, I remember that. This little scum is a liar," and they would give me exactly what I asked for. It's very common. All right, so here's the point. Why can't everybody have a photographic memory? I don't anymore, but I mean, I'm on death's door. I'm 77 years old. Drop dead tomorrow, old age. See, why can't everybody? Wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody had a photographic memory? See the benefit of a photographic memory? Nobody can bamboozle you because you remember everything. Oh man, I had such a great life. I mean, I'm in my afterlife. This is, not the same. And that's a lesson to you, I mean, enjoy every minute. Make the most out of every day. The German, freut euch das Leben. Enjoy your life to the max. Give 100%. Man, I wish I could do it all over again. Man, it was so much fun. So much fun. Yeah, see, most people are too stupid to live. I have an essay, a lecture on YouTube about that. I mean, most Americans are literally too stupid to live. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. They were born that way. They are genetically obsolete. I mean, 200 years ago, they were completely adequate, to live normal lives, because they lived in traditional societies. They plowed the earth and everybody did the same thing, worshiped the same God. Nobody was trying to pick their pockets. Nobody was trying to play them, and exploit them. There was no Church of Scientology. There was only one church, and it wanted 10%. There was no church that wanted everything, your body and your soul. Church of Scientology. Anyway, you go back and listen to my YouTube about genetic obsolescence. See, most of our people are not stupid in world historical terms. Hegel would say, Welthistorische. Okay, they're not stupid in world historical terms. I mean, during we evolved from the ape over 5 million years. And we were biologically identical to what we are today, 50,000 to 100,000 years ago. I keep moving this back. All right, so it's a very short time that we've been what we are today, human beings, as we are today. And during all of that time, we lived in these supportive traditional cultures. And this has been supplanted by commerce. And commerce undoes most Americans. They're not smart enough, and they're taken to the cleaners. Their bones are picked, by this predatory society of commerce. There's 100 voices, luring them, give me your money, give me your money, thousands of voices, somebody gets them. As a result, the average American family, white family, $60,000 a year, average, can't lay hands on $400. That's why, because they're not smart enough to live in this society, which is predatory and evil. I want to talk about the tragedy of, this is a eugenics issue. The tragedy of I just call it a minority. I won't say any more than that. I mean, the average white family in this country, lives in a house. Maybe, like what percent are divorced? Single parent. It's horrendous. I don't remember right now for some reason. It's like 30 to 40% somewhere in there. Black family, you know how they live? All right, this is a typical black family. It's how hideous it is. There'll be a man and a woman very often living in the same house. Okay, they will have children, typically from other spouses. Not always, but typically, and maybe 10 children from the from 3 or 4 or 5 different spouses. Okay, and those children will need a place to crash, and they'll be every day of the week you go there and there's different people there. It's Grand Central Station, so it's just and then they when they get mad, the screaming, oh God. Yeah, it's a nightmare. I mean, for children to grow up in. Imagine children growing up in this kind of. Maybe I'm hyperbolizing. I'm talking from personal experience, my fine feathered friends. I'm not pulling stuff out of a hat. I'm not making stuff up. I'm talking from personal experience. And this is the tragedy of the black home. It's just really pitiable. It's so horrible. There's no place for a child. And yet, children are subjected to this, black children. Well, there's only one way to change this. I mean, everybody needs to be born a Russ Stahl. Let me tell you how wonderful it was. How wonderful. I realized in high school and freshman year in college that I am the greatest living poet. I've demonstrated that to you. So I figured, well, geez, the world's going to accept me. No, the world has been postmodernized, by the cultural Marxists, and now poetry is John Ashbery. Please read the John Ashbery poem. Just Google it. The 10 best poems come right up. It's just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. Not supposed to mean anything. Okay? It's garbage. This son of a bitch is going to be forgotten. Shame on him for doing this. I mean, for 50 years he was a king. He's going to be absolutely forgotten. I met a couple little tiny professors of literature. I thought they were twins. No, they were friends. Sweetheart, nice guys. Really nice guys. They told me, he's published 28 books, 15 books. Since I said, 15 people bought his last book of poetry. All right, so anyway, what I want, getting off the track. So I didn't worry about my future. I knew I was the greatest living artist, greatest living poet. I didn't have to worry anything about it. All I had to do is recite my poetry. People would flock to me and they'd appreciate me. No, it didn't work out that way. So, after majoring in philosophy and having an interest, aesthetics, which allowed me, decades later, to answer the question, what is art? And it allowed me to be the first one to explain the biological basis of art, which is in my YouTubes. Sir Roger Scruton, knighted by the Queen, asked my British counterpart, wrote 20 books, and he couldn't figure this out. He had no idea, no clue. What is the biological basis of art? answered the question. All right, I'm getting off the track, sorry. What kind of life did I have? Oh my God. It was just a dream. Imagine, they tried to flunk me out of UC Berkeley. You know, these bastards, these goddamn bastards, these cultural Marxists. And so I go to UC, I go to, I'm in the teacher corps, and I go to University of Kentucky, Lexington College of Law, Lexington, Kentucky. And I'm out of law school in 2.5 years. I took summers, went summers to law school. And in 2.5 years, I'm on my own in Tampa. All I had to do was get into that courtroom, man. Did I kick some fucking derriere in that courtroom? Oh, man. Whew. Yeah, well, did I have any training in trial law? No, I've been a management labor lawyer for 2.5 years. I mean, 2 years and 4 months. That's all I could take. Boy, those guys, they did not give me a good raise and did not, embrace me and beg me to stay with them. And, boy, did they regret it. Oh, God. I mean, the guy up in Greenville, South Carolina, actually fired me after 4 months. Boy, did he regret it. Because he heard about my trials up in Greenville, South Carolina. Okay? It was too late. Because I was kicking ass and I was making big dollars. Right off the bat, man. Jeez. And I was getting, I never had to hook up with a bar, so I couldn't send an investigator to hospital rooms and pick up these big cases, easy cases. We had a firm that could do that, and they got the big case. I got cases nobody else would take, like the one I talked about, right? Which turned out to be the largest injury verdict in the history of Central and Northern Florida. Yeah. I mean, that's like God working. It's just impossible. It's not impossible. It's genes. It's DNA that allowed these things to happen. That's my whole point here. We need a country of Rustals, not these slimes, these crooks. I mean, that's what we have. Not just on the SEC. Okay, it's just everywhere. We've got crooks, slimes. No, our experiment in government has failed miserably, because the people, in government are no fucking good. Okay, they're no good. And now we're threatened with the camel. That's not going to happen. Don't worry. Trump's going to be reelected. God bless Donald Trump. Yeah, I was talking about the tragedy of the black family. The tragedy of blacks in the United States. They don't have a chance here. That's the truth. This is an insidious, evil, predatory society. You've got to be smart as fuck, to flourish, to succeed in the society. You really do. And they have their celebrities, they have Oprah, and they have people, some talented people, a handful of people. Everybody else is fucked. Just living a hideous life. And that's the reason. That's the reason. They were born that way. I mean, it's only been going on for, since the Civil War ended. It's the same shit. I mean, I told you the story about going to black college and having no math at all since high school, and studying math for 2 weeks and taking the graduate record exam, and you know, getting dramatically better score on math than anyone in the history of Petersburg State University. You know, with math majors, 4-year math majors in it. Okay. So I mean, you know, that's the deal. I can't, see, I'm stressed over and over again. You know, we have this myth that you work hard, see, and you succeed. No. You know how many hours I spent preparing for the Campanione case? I was thinking about it. I said, you know, I can't remember preparing for this case. I can't remember preparing for this 4 days of trial. The reason I couldn't remember is because I didn't prepare. Yeah, I prepared for a few hours. I talked to my case was the accident reconstruction man. That was the case. I talked to him for a few hours, and that was it. He was an engineer also. He was not an engineer. He was just a sheriff. Okay? But we shut them down, the bastards. Yeah, there's nothing for Campanione to say, you know, you talk about his injuries, waking up in the hospital. It didn't take any time to prepare him. My other witness was his doctor. You know, they didn't put out a doctor. They didn't put out any case at all. I shut them down. See, I take no credit for anything I have done. That's what I get through. You gotta get through your head. Okay. How did I become the greatest living poet? I read Shelley's Ozymandias. That's how. In 12th grade. I read the Ode on the Grecian Urn. I read Intimations of Immortality. Wordsworth. And then I read Goethe. You know, I taught myself German, so yeah, that's all I had to do. And then I wrote poetry that's as good as any poetry written in the New World. So who taught me how to do this? You know, who taught me? My DNA. My DNA knew how to do it. It just needed a little, you know, a little stimulus. And then bang, it just. How about a new poem I haven't recited online? I don't have time. Farm Boy. See, I have poetry that I've written about, you know, the nose, Tiny Todd, his best friend, last few years. Then I have poetry that goes back 60 years to the farm. And it you know, some people like my contemporary poetry more. Funny enough, most people do. They love On the E-Train, you know, with the overinflated Porky Lad. You go back in the email in the YouTube, so you can find it. But with other people, like Anton, you know, they appreciate the farm poetry. You know, it's being tres extraordinaire, as good as anything written in the New World. Okay, Farm Boy sees a cloud. It's going back 6 years when I wrote this. Farm Boy sees me, of course, I'm the farm boy. I see a cloud that reminds me of a tramp that I've seen on the road. And he carries all his belongings in a sack, on a stick, ties up the sack. This is a meme, you know. And he puts the stick over his shoulder, so you have this little handkerchief or whatever it is, you know, with his belongings, a little bundle hanging at the end of the stick. And then in the other hand, he's holding his chalk pouch. See, I believe in communication. When I recite a poem, I want you to understand every single word. So you've got to know all the vocabulary, you've got to know the context. I want you to understand it so you fully appreciate it. You know? Cloud tramping south. Saw a cloud yesterday. Looked like a Joe Shit the Rag Man. A tramp down our way. Had a sack on his stick, jaw pouch in his hand. Just lazy and south toward Mohawk land. Yeah, so you see the cloud, you know, moving slowly. Yeah. America is such a lie. I mean, everything you've been taught is the exact opposite of the truth. You know, go to a writer's workshop, you know, and you're going to learn how to write. Oh, fuck that. It's bullshit. You know, it's all this propaganda, you know. Flannery O'Connor, you know, the giant of short stories. Try to read one, please. You know, try to read, oh God, what happened to my photographic memory? It'll come to me. Her most famous book. Oh God. I read a little bit to you in one of my YouTubes. God, I can't think of the name. I made a YouTube of it. I made a movie of it. How's that? Yeah. Charlton had a famous director made a movie out of it. Yeah, nobody can read that today. I mean, unless you've been brainwashed and, you know, this is a woman writer and we gotta love her. You know, she's an icon, and you know they get you all pumped up, and then you imagine that you're enjoying, you know, reading this crap, and she will be totally forgotten. I mean, compare it to I bet most people here have you know heard me read my Watermelon Thieves. Compare it to Watermelon Thieves. God, this is driving me nuts. Well, I can't remember the name of her. It's her most famous work. Okay? It's got a man dressed up as a gorilla in it. Yeah. So I mean, we're brainwashed. I mean, Americans have been brainwashed, zombified, you know, for so many generations. You know, and so they force them. They don't know it, but they're making themselves like things that they shouldn't. You know, if they look at these things later in life, they're going to realize, what the hell was I doing reading this crap? Okay. Flannery O'Connor. I'm not a misogynist. Jane Austen is like one of my favorite authors. I adore Jane Austen. She's just, I adore Gertrude Stein. I can think of as a mother. Okay? Her autobiography, you know, the autobiography of Osby Douglas, you know, that's what I've insisted that you read. You must read that. So yeah, the big lie is that, you know, you can go to a writer's workshop and you can become a writer. I mean, I'm not ruling out the possibility that it can help you. In fact, I decided to have my own writer's workshop. And if you look through my YouTube, you'll find my writer's workshop. So, you know, what's the harm in trying to help people? You know? Maybe I'll help somebody. But I just don't believe in the environment, you know, your environment making you something that you weren't born to be. It doesn't happen. It just does not happen. See, I'm the first person to realize that human beings don't have an environment. You know, birds and fish have environments. You know, every person creates his own environment. Like here I am in my bedroom. You know, I'm like 13, 14 years old. I'm putting up history charts because I love history. You know, nobody told me to like history. my brother didn't get the same DNA, and he tore him down. He threw a brick out at me in the backyard. I told you the story. He died at 300-pound janitor years ago. Small six-pack, smoking 2 packs a day. Tragedy. Got different DNA. So totally different. High IQ. Great guy. He was a rose man in his high school. Let me say this in memoriam of my brother, Robert. God bless him. The kids, he made this Pollinator, not Pollinator, oh God. It's in Silicon Valley, near Sunnyvale, I think. He made their grounds into this rose garden. I start crying. Can't do it. The kids loved him. This is a land of lies. It's a land of lies. I debunked this Abraham Lincoln. I mean, that is the biggest lie in the history of America and in our world we live in. The deification of Abraham Lincoln, who was our Stalin. He was our Stalin. He was a monster. Just listen to my YouTubes. And I think FDR was the same. It's another monster. I don't dare get on that topic. I don't dare. I'm afraid to get on that topic. See, I'm trying to dezombify you. And this is not an easy task. I mean, you have been zombified for generations. Imagine, looking at simple, obvious facts about the last battle. I don't want to get into it. But I mean, for generations, people, historians, they've looked at the set of facts that show, like somebody putting pie in your face. Abraham Lincoln was a war criminal. He was a monster, okay, for doing what he did to the South in the last 9 months of the war, right? You can't get a better example of zombification than that. Just listen to my YouTubes. I don't want to repeat it for the 10th time. But you can't dezombify until you realize that you are a zombie. And everything you believe is a lie that your parents and grandparents have been inculcated in, programmed to believe. It's all lies. It's all lies. I was talking about blacks. Blacks are a fucking tragedy. And yes, it was 100% our fault. Yes, we are at fault. Because we brought them here from Africa, as much as 300 years ago. And we freed them in 1865. Said, hey, go crazy, guys, go crazy. Yeah, well, they haven't been freed since, have they? They're still not free. They're still horrible victims of a society that they are not equipped to compete in. As a result, they live in South Chicago. They shoot each other up, and they live horrible lives unless they live in Virginia and they work for the federal government and they make big money. Okay. I mean, I'm overstating the case probably, but that's a good outline. And if I take over the country this November, everybody writes me in. If I am made president by acclamation like George Washington was, first thing I'm going to do is to give the black people their 40 acres and a mule. This is 400 acres today, okay? I give them 40 acres, 600 acres. We give them 600. Federal land, we got it. We got 600 acres of arable land. We can give our black family that will work the soil and give them the implements they need and give them agronomists and all the help they need, and put these dysfunctional people. live in South Chicago, all over the country. All over the country they live, poor people. Give them a chance to have a real life. That's what I would do. Because they, South Chicago is our fault, white people's fault, 100% white people's fault. But not for the reasons that the Black Lives Matter tells you, but because we brought them here, and they were not equipped in terms of DNA to succeed and flourish. Okay? I mean, they did it, much better, in the early years of the 20th century. They did much better than they're doing now. But that's what I would do. It's not going to happen. Nobody's gonna write me in, But I'm just trying to teach you guys, trying to open your eyes. I mean, think about it. People with 100 IQ, the average white American is fucked. He can't lay hands on $400. He can't stay married. He's fucked. He's a dysfunctional person. Okay, now we're talking about a demographic with an IQ of one standard deviation below 185. Since it's been tested 100 years ago, always 85. How well can they function? How can they function in this society? They can't. They're not functioning. Okay? Because they don't have what it takes. So anyway, I'm teaching you. You're not going to learn what these things anywhere else. You want to be a lawyer? Anybody wants to be a lawyer, go and listen to my YouTubes. Listen to this YouTube about being a lawyer. You don't tell lies to the jury. That's not your job. You tell lies to the jury and exaggerate things. Your job is to win. Okay, I teach you how to win. My YouTubes. Thinking about monetizing Antonovich. I'm thinking of monetizing him. But that's a funny story. I believe for the next YouTube. I think you guys have had enough for one. God, it's the morning. Couldn't sleep for some reason. And so I decided to do this. When you wake up, you can listen to it. So I have to, Tech told me what to do. He told me to pull the plug. It would not destroy the YouTube. And he'll wake up tomorrow. He's probably still awake. He's probably still pollinating. Yeah, that's my what I'm going to call my monetize the nose. Tech. I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him the series the Pollinator. Okay. And I'm going to play his shrink. Dr. Rosenstahl, okay, his shrink, psychiatrist, and I'm going to be discussing his depredations, against the fair ones. And of course, they want to be preyed upon. Of course, they're all praying that the nose will come along and deflower them. Not deflower them, but to pollinate them. So I'm going to get at the root of this. Tech is a real, he's a case, man. He needs help. I mean, the guy, he's gonna redact this part, but the guy was working for, his dad got him into Goldman Sachs, and he blew it. I asked him, well, how the fuck did you do that? Dad makes millions of dollars, not there, but still makes millions of dollars, he had a chance to do this. And I said, well, how did you blow Goldman Sachs? Yeah, one word. Pussy. So we're gonna give you in this series. You he had House of Cards. Forget House of Cards. You're gonna get the Pollinator now, and I'm gonna be his shrink. I'm gonna try to persuade him. He really wants to be like me. You know, he wants to find a wonderful wife and get married, have children, have a have a normal life. See, and you all need to do that. By the way, you need to get married and have children. Because believe me, when you're 77, you know, I talked to my daughter, you know, the Colonel MD, today for an hour. If you're 77, you don't have children. Oh, you're a hurting buckaroo, my friend. You're going to be a hurting buckaroo. Your family, your children become more and more important the older you get. So you need to have. You don't have a real life. Let's put it that way. You know, without marriage and children. And yeah. So anyway, I'm a shrink, and I'm trying to persuade him. You know, and he's trying. He says he's trying. You know, so he meets. They're having parties on these roofs now. He doesn't invite me. No surprise there. Okay. So they're having parties. He meets a new girl at every party, and then he's going to start out, you know, trying to get serious about his life, and take the girl seriously, and you know, is she marriage material, you know, and but somehow it doesn't work out with Nose. It does not work out, and it's like every few days, you know, there's a new girl. I said, well, why don't you give me some of the old ones? He's too busy. He's too busy. He's a busy beaver. Yeah. And so he goes from one flower to pollinating the next flower, you know, and so we can have the girls. See, in this YouTube, we can have them explain what happened between them and Nose. They're going to get paid. This is voluntary. See, then not all of them will want to do this, you know. But they're going to do this voluntarily, tell what happened with their relationship with Nose. And most of them will say, well, I'm still with Nose, you know, because he goes back, you know. He goes back all over the boroughs, the 5 boroughs, you know. He's active in all 5 boroughs, and you know, I think he's with he's got an exclusive relationship with you know, the last one was an 18-year-old dancer, and that only lasts. No, he's still with her. He's still with her. Yeah, that's what he said tonight. All right, but that won't last long, and then he'll spend some time with, you know, with Manhattan and Brooklyn. He doesn't get over to, he doesn't get to Bronx and Harlem very often. It's mostly Brooklyn and Manhattan now. But he'll go back to these old girls. He calls them oipens, I guess, is a Dutch word for open, you know, which is what his object is, to open. Right? He's a dirty dog, okay? He's a scoundrel. No doubt about that. I'm going to make him a star. He's a fascinating guy, very charismatic, brilliant, son of a bitch, brilliant, of course. Obviously, he's got to be brilliant. His mother is a genius also. His mother is a playwright. You know, typical Russian Jews. You know, he doesn't have any Nobel laureates in this one line, but he's got the closest thing to it. You know, engineers, inventors, all kinds of brilliant people. You know, and he's a schmuck. But he's going to grow up. He's going to grow up. He's got to. He can't be like this forever. You know, he is a rare example. First example I've ever met of a Peter Pan Jew. I won't grow up. You know, there's no desire to grow up. First, I mean, Jews are serious people. I have never met a Peter Pan Jew before. He is a pure Peter Pan Jew. But that can't last. You know, he's got to. But in the meantime, you know, I will make my house of cards called the Pollinator. We'll explore Nose's psyche. Um, you never got to hear part 2 and 3 of the Nose, and we may get lucky, may not. He's sleeping right now, so he probably won't listen. He probably won't listen to anything. He'll probably just put it up. So this is a rare opportunity to give you part 2 and 3. You heard part 1. I should start from the beginning. So this is 60 years after Cloud Tramping South. New York City, part 1, The Nose. Oh, city of a million losers, home to the mooch, the scrounge, 1,000 stinking bodies sleeping in the subway cars. I hear coins rattling on the corner and 10,000 voices calling. Spare a little change, spare a little change. In Paris, in the year 1500, half of the inhabitants were beggars. Nothing changes. Life's a motherfucker, then you die. The Nose was so broke he bought a dollar slice. Can you imagine what a dollar slice tastes like in Manhattan? Nose said he had a chick for me, a concupiscible cupcake, a co-ed from heaven above. He needed a little money to buy flowers and food for his apartment. When I got there, the cupboards were bare, and Nose had eaten everything I gave him the money to buy. Oh, what dark presence proceeds up Prince Street in spider-like procession? The Nose, I cry out in horror. Beware the Nose. Part 2. When we arrived at the Frick, a long line was standing in the rain. The Nose gave the guard a glimpse of his schnoz and sniffed. My parents are members. Right this way, Mr. Rothschild, and we were escorted in. I met him through his best friend, Tiny Tot. What did an Ashkenazi scion have in common with a wee, goyish discard, a child of destitution, born in a trailer camp in deepest Alabama? Only their love of marijuana. Part 3. When Tiny Tot and the Nose got busted. The dopes were smoking a fat blunt in an alley somewhere in Soho. When Lord Nose appeared before Judge Greengrass, the latter took one look at his schnoz and dismissed the case. I guess the word is summarily. Hey, I'm not complaining. I think this is the way it should be. You ask about the Tot? He drew another judge, and he's still inside. So that's the 3 parts of New York City. Part 1, The Nose. Part 2, for those who haven't heard it, just to keep up, since we got a momentum going here. It's all about New York City. All these things happen. I didn't make this shit up about going to the Frick with Anton. We did, and this is what happened. You know, all I had to say was my parents are members. Right this way, Mr. Rothschild. That's what happened. All right, part 4. On the E-train. An overinflated porculette sits across from me in the E-train, her pallid pig face plastered with pimples. A single piercing graces this piglitude, a diamond below her lip, no bigger than a pinprick. But stay, don't go, I beseech thee. Behold her, for she bestirs herself, a walrus wallowing woefully. A stretch or stuff tiny, I twitter tastefully. Wiggle your piggle, I call after her encouragingly. O everlasting, never-ending cavalcade of ponderous poundage, O horror of the E-train. Okay. Part 5 is Ode on Ernest, but I will be, see, I have a trauma about, I'm so traumatized, so afraid of this happening to me that I can't remember the word. I think of declassified, it's not classified. It's closed, closed down. What is the fucking word, man? You know what I'm talking about. The trap door opens and I'm swimming with the crocodiles down there, and I am my YouTubes are no more. My college education is no more. See, I feel I have a moral duty to do this because nobody else is serving it blood raw. You ain't gonna get blood raw in college because those poor guys, they live under the reign of political correctness. Jordan Peterson stood up for free speech. The University of Toronto, that's the Harvard of Canada. God bless him. He stood up for free speech, and every one of his colleagues in the psychology department signed a petition to have him removed. So how are you gonna learn anything in college about the world you're in? With this reign of terror, going on. It was bad in '65 when I was at UC Berkeley. I told you about that. It was already bad, but it's just insufferable now. It's just you might as well be captured by the Red Chinese. They used to brainwash people. Might as well be captured by the Red Chinese. Let's go to an American or Canadian university. So I hope you enjoyed my YouTube and you got something out of it. And, you're not going to have to write me in. People are going to learn about the camel. They know, they have an idea about the camel now, and we're going to get the word out there, the truth about the camel. And she and her goofball buddy, Joe Biden, they're going to crash and burn. Believe me, it's not going to be any contest. Because people cannot vote for a psychopath whore. And that's what the camel is. So it's not going to happen. So don't worry about it. Sleep well. So I can't turn this off with the arrow, but I can turn it off by pulling the plug on it. So God bless you all and good night.